Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Let's move to the next part of redox reactions. In this part, we will discuss about electron transfer concept of oxidation and reduction. In previous class, we have gone through the classical concept of oxidation and reduction. Later on, when the scientists came to know that oxidation and reduction takes place at the same time, that is simultaneously, that's why those reactions we call them as redox reactions. Then they again checked out the reactions. They came to know that there is some exchange going on between the combining species. When they combine, when the reactant is combined, that is when you are adding oxygen or adding hydrogen, there is some combination taking place by means of electron transfer. Later on, to understand the redox reactions in a convenient manner, in an easy manner, they proposed the electron transfer concept of redox reactions. Let's see how this concept explains oxidation and reduction. So according to electron transfer concept, oxidation is loss of one or more electrons from an atom or ion. What is oxidation? Loss of one or more electrons from an atom or ion, right? Meaning, say you are having sodium atom. We know that sodium, to become stable like noble gases, it loses one electron, and when it loses one electron, it changes to an ion. So sodium, it becomes Na plus by the loss of one electron, right? This atom has lost one electron and has converted into sodium ion. So this loss of one electron is called as oxidation. One more example, if I take magnesium, it becomes Mg2 plus by the loss of two electrons, right? If I take aluminium, aluminium loses three electrons and becomes Al3 plus. जितने इलेक्ट्रॉन लॉस होंगे उतना पॉजिटिव चार्ज बढ़ते जाएगा, राइट? और if I take Fe2 plus ion, Fe2 plus, it becomes stable, more stable when it loses one electron and becomes Fe3 plus. Because ferric ion is more stable than ferrous ion because of half-filled d orbital present in it, right? So to get the half-filled configuration, it loses one electron and becomes ferric, right? So in all these cases, we can see that one or more electrons are lost. One or more electrons are lost by an atom or even ions. Electrons can be lost from an atom or by some ions. Okay, if I take S2 minus sulfide ion, it becomes sulfur by the loss of two electrons, right? So in all these cases, we can see one or more electrons are lost by an atom or an ion, right? You are removing electrons from the atoms or ions. So that process, we call it as oxidation. So oxidation is loss of one or more electrons from an atom or by an atom or ion is called as oxidation. Okay. Now this process, we also call it as de-electronation. We also call it as de-electronation. इलेक्ट्रॉनेशन यानी कि इलेक्ट्रॉन्स ऐड करना, डी इलेक्ट्रॉनेशन मतलब इलेक्ट्रॉन्स रिमूव करना, राइट? और ये रेडॉक्स रिएक्शन का हाफ पार्ट है, क्योंकि रेडॉक्स रिएक्शंस कभी भी एक साथ होते हैं, ऑक्सीडेशन और रिडक्शन एक साथ होता है। तो अंडरस्टैंड करने के लिए हम इसको दो पार्ट में डिवाइड करते हैं, एक पार्ट को हम ऑक्सीडेशन रिएक्शन बोलते हैं और दूसरे पार्ट को हम रिडक्शन रिएक्शन बोलते हैं, या फिर ये ऑक्सीडेशन रिएक्शन और रिडक्शन रिएक्शंस को हम हाफ रिएक्शंस भी बोलते हैं, हाफ reactions, because only oxidation cannot take place or only reduction cannot take place. Whenever the redox reaction is taking place, both the reactions, both the half reactions take place at the same time, right? ये इलेक्ट्रॉन जब तक लॉस नहीं करेगा तब तक कोई एक्सेप्टर ना हो। सोडियम इलेक्ट्रॉन कब लॉस करेगा? ये इलेक्ट्रॉन एक्सेप्ट करने वाला स्पीशीज इसके साथ कंबाइन होते वक्त ये तभी लॉस कर सकता है, otherwise it will not lose the electron, right? So here we have seen atoms are losing electron or even ions are losing electron. That time what is happening is positive charge increases. During oxidation what happens? Positive charge on species increases. Always after oxidation, positive charge on the species it will increase and negative charge decreases. It was S2 minus, now it has reduced to 0. कुछ भी चार्ज नहीं है तो मतलब ये 0 लेते हैं, तो क्या हो गया यहाँ पर? नेगेटिव चार्ज हैज डिक्रीज्ड, सो नेगेटिव चार्ज decreases, right? So this is called as oxidation. Loss of one or more electrons from an atom or ion is called oxidation. If you talk about reduction, reduction is gain of one or more electrons by an atom or ion. What is reduction? Gain of one or more electrons by an atom or ion, right? Say for example, chlorine atom, it requires one electron to become stable like noble gases. So when it receives one electron, it becomes Cl minus. It becomes what? Chloride ion. Okay. If you take oxygen atom, it requires two electrons to become stable like noble gases. So it becomes O2 minus, oxide ion, right? In the same manner, if I take sulfur, it also gains two electrons and becomes S2 minus. If I take nitrogen, नाइट्रोजन को चाहिए 3 इलेक्ट्रॉन स्टेबल होने के लिए, तो ये बनता है N3 माइनस, नाइट्राइड आयन। फेरिक आयन, फेरिक कंपाउंड्स हाइड्रोजन गैस के साथ जब ट्रीट करते हैं तो ये फेरस में चेंज हो जाएंगे, तो फेरिक अगर ये एक इलेक्ट्रॉन गेन करता है तो ये बन जाता है फेरस, राइट? और इफ यू टेक sulfur itself, minus sign I will write, it requires one more electron and it becomes S2 minus, right? Now in all these cases what we are seeing is species are gaining one or more electrons. Species are gaining one or more electrons, so this process we call it as reduction. So gain of one or more electrons by an atom. Either atoms are gaining the electrons or ions are gaining the electrons, right? That is called as what? Reduction. We also call it as electronation. We call it as what? Electronation, right? So during this reduction or electronation, what is happening to the charges now? You can see here what is happened to the positive charge. It was 3, it has become 2. So positive charge. What happens to the positive charge? Positive charge decreases. It is opposite of oxidation. And what is happening to the negative charges? Negative charges increase. Negative charge increases during reduction, right? So this is the other half reaction which takes place during redox reactions. So when you add up these two half reactions, you will get the complete redox reactions where electrons will be transferred from one species to another species. So whenever there is transfer of electrons from one species to another species, that is by loss or gain, that time we call that reactions as redox reactions, right? So redox reactions, इसको आप याद रख सकते हैं, ये ऑक्सीडेशन और रिडक्शन, एल लॉस, ई से इलेक्ट्रॉन्स और ओ से ऑक्सीडेशन, लॉस ऑफ इलेक्ट्रॉन्स, लियो is called as what? Oxidation. Gain of electrons is called as what? Reduction, right? लियो means lion, शेर या बब्बर, आवाज कैसी करता है? गर्र, राइट? तो इस तरह आप शॉर्टकट वे में, ये निमोनिक्स बोलते हैं, जिसको आप कोई प्रोसेस को याद रखना है तो इस तरह आप शॉर्टकट बना के याद रख सकते हैं. लॉस ऑफ इलेक्ट्रॉन इज व्हाट? ऑक्सीडेशन. गेन ऑफ इलेक्ट्रॉन्स इज कॉल्ड एज रिडक्शन. लियो गर. ओके. So redox reactions as per electron transfer concept are those reactions where reacting species participate in oxidation and reduction by transfer of electrons. They participate in oxidation and reduction by transfer of electrons, right? So this is according to electronic concept or electron transfer concept. Okay, so if you take sodium metal, it is combining with chlorine gas. When it combines with chlorine gas, you will be getting sodium chloride. You will be getting what? Sodium chloride, right? तो इसको अंडरस्टैंड करना है अगर ये कॉन्सेप्ट से, तो ये रिएक्शन को हम दो पार्ट में डिवाइड करते हैं, एक ऑक्सीडेशन बनाते हैं और दूसरा रिडक्शन बनाते हैं. बिकॉज सोडियम हियर in this compound it will have positive charge and chlorine will be having negative charge. So what happens is, first sodium, it loses one electron and becomes Na plus by the loss of one electron, right? Chlorine molecule is there, it requires two electrons to become 2Cl minus, means one chlorine atom requires one electron and becomes Cl minus. There are two chlorine atoms, chlorine molecule is there, so it will gain two electrons and become 2Cl minus. So this reaction is oxidation because loss of electron has taken place, and this reaction you will call it as reduction, right? This is one half reaction, this is another half reaction, right? जब तक ये इलेक्ट्रॉन्स एक्सेप्ट नहीं करेगा, ये इलेक्ट्रॉन्स लॉस नहीं करेगा, या फिर जब तक ये इलेक्ट्रॉन लॉस नहीं करेगा, ये इलेक्ट्रॉन्स एक्सेप्ट नहीं करेगा, तो दोनों एक साथ होते हैं रिएक्शंस. अब यहाँ पे एक ही इलेक्ट्रॉन लॉस हो गया है, यहाँ पे दो इलेक्ट्रॉन गेन हो रहे हैं, तो बैलेंस नहीं है. जब भी लॉस और गेन होते हैं इलेक्ट्रॉन्स इक्वल होते हैं, जितने इलेक्ट्रॉन लॉस होंगे डेफिनेटली दूसरा स्पीशीज उतने पूरे इलेक्ट्रॉन्स को गेन करेगा, राइट? तो यहाँ पे इसको बैलेंस करना है तो आप क्रॉस मल्टीप्लाई करो, मल्टीप्लाई ऑक्सीडेशन बाय 2, whatever has been gained by chlorine, that number will be multiplied to oxidation, and here whatever loss has taken place, that value will be multiplied to reduction. अब क्या हो जाएगा? बैलेंस हो जाएगा. यहाँ पे 2 इलेक्ट्रॉन्स गेन हो रहे थे, यहाँ पे 2 इलेक्ट्रॉन लॉस हो जाएंगे, राइट? सो व्हेन यू एड अप दीज टू इक्वेशंस, 2 electron cancel, right? 2 into electron, 2 electron और 2 electron cancel हो जाएंगे, and you will be getting 2 into Na, 2Na plus this will be chlorine, and here you will be getting 2Na plus 2Cl minus, which will combine and form 2NaCl, राइट। ये क्या बनेगा, दोनों कंबाइन होने के बाद 2NaCl बन जाएगा, राइट। So this is the way how electron transfer takes place. Now here we come across two different types of species here. Species, those are losing electron, like sodium. Sodium is losing electron, right? So species that lose electron or undergo oxidation are called as reducing agent. याद रखो ये पॉइंट, क्योंकि ऑक्सीडेशन में जो पार्टिसिपेट करते हैं उनको आप reducing agent बोलेंगे, because they are providing electrons to other species to undergo reduction. सोडियम के वजह से यहां पर रिडक्शन हो रहा है, राइट। सोडियम के जरिए से यहाँ पे रिडक्शन हो रहा है, तो सोडियम को आप बोलेंगे reducing agent. How you define reducing agent? Species that lose electrons or undergo oxidation, right? Species that lose electron or undergo oxidation are called reducing agents, right? Now when you talk about chlorine, क्लोरीन के पास गेन करने की कैपेसिटी है, गेन करने वाला है, इसके वजह से सोडियम इलेक्ट्रॉन को लॉस करेगा। तो क्लोरीन के वजह से यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है, ऑक्सीडेशन। तो क्लोरीन को हम बोलेंगे ऑक्सीडाइजिंग एजेंट। ये है रेड्यूसिंग एजेंट और ये क्या है, ऑक्सीडाइजिंग एजेंट। तो ऑक्सीडाइजिंग एजेंट कौन से होते हैं, स्पीशीज दैट गेन इलेक्ट्रॉन और अंडरगो रिडक्शन। Species that gain electron or undergo, they are called as what, oxidizing agents. Okay, so what do you mean by reducing agent? Species that lose electron or undergo oxidation are called reducing agents. Species that gain electron or undergo reduction are called oxidizing agents. One more example will say zinc metal, when you put in copper sulfate solution which contains Cu2 plus ions, it reacts with copper sulfate and produces zinc sulfate which forms Zn2 plus, and you will get copper particles settled at the bottom. ये रिएक्शन होता है। जिंक मेटल को आप कॉपर सल्फेट सोल्यूशन में डिप कर दो, थोड़ी देर के बाद कॉपर सल्फेट का जो ब्लू कलर है वो डिसअपियर हो जाएगा, कलरलेस हो जाएगा, क्योंकि जिंक सल्फेट फॉर्म हो जाता है और पूरा प्रेसिपिटेट कॉपर का नीचे आके कलेक्ट हो जाता है, राइट। सो हियर व्हाट इज हैपनिंग फ्रॉम zinc to Zn2 plus, zinc is changing to Zn2 plus, that is loss of 2 electron has taken place. So this process we call it oxidation, we'll call it as oxidation. And from Cu2 plus to Cu, what is happening, Cu2 plus is gaining 2 electrons, gain of 2 electron, and this is called as what, reduction. Okay, जैसे कि यहाँ पे लिखता हूं साइड में, zinc is changing to Zn2 plus by the loss of 2 electron. Cu2 plus is gaining those 2 electron and becoming Cu. So when you add up these two equations, 2 electron cancel, you will be having zinc plus Cu2 plus gives Zn2 plus plus Cu, right? So this is nothing but oxidation and reduction is taking place. It is a redox reaction. तो याद रखो, redox reactions में इलेक्ट्रॉन ट्रांसफर, लॉस और गेन होना जरूरी है। बहुत सारे ऐसे reactions है, they appear as redox, right? But actually they will only exchange of ion take place. Only you can call redox reaction only when there is transfer of electrons. A species should lose electron, the other species should gain electrons. So here Zinc can be called as what type of agent? As it is losing electron, it is undergoing oxidation. So zinc is reducing agent. Zinc is what? Reducing agent. And copper ions are gaining electrons. They are undergoing what? Reduction. So we'll call it as oxidizing agent. Right? Oxidizing agent. तो ये reducing agent और oxidizing agent आपको रिएक्शन के लेफ्ट हैंड साइड में ही मिलेंगे, राइट? लेफ्ट हैंड साइड रिएक्टेंट्स जो रहते हैं उनको हम दो पार्ट में डिवाइड करते हैं, एक को reducing agent बोलेंगे, दूसरे को आप oxidizing agent बोलेंगे. राइट साइड में जो प्रोडक्ट फॉर्म होता है उनसे उनको आप अलग नेम देंगे. जिंक ऑक्सीडेशन के बाद क्या फॉर्म कर रहा है? Zn2+. तो ये Zn2+ को आप बोलेंगे oxidized product. What you will call oxidized product. And copper ion is changing to copper by reduction, so this will be called as reduced product. It will be called as what? Reduced product. Okay. Reducing agent, we give one more name, reductant. कभी कभार कुछ बुक्स में ये भी टर्म दिए हैं, reductant. और ऑक्सीडाइजिंग एजेंट को आप और एक नए नेम क्या दे सकते हैं? ऑक्सीडेंट. Because these are all important terms which we'll be using in other chapters. Okay, so you should understand what is the meaning of these terms. Okay, so this is regarding electron transfer concept of oxidation and reduction and redox reaction. Okay, in next section we'll go with other concept, that is oxidation number concept, and we'll discuss in detail what is oxidation number and which are the rules followed while calculating oxidation number. Okay.